Hello everyone, so today I'm going to continue who are the proponents of feminism. Next is Donna J. Haraway. So she is an American professor emerita in the history of consciousness and a feminist study departments at the University of California, Santa Cruz, and a proponent scholar in the field of science and technology studies. She has also contributed to the intersection of information, technology, and feminist theory, and is a leading scholar in the contemporary ecofeminism. She states that in the book of Cyborg, in a manifestation that humans are not just objects or subjects, but cyborgs that are formed in collaboration with their environment. So, what cyborg means? It is the living organism that has restored function or enhanced abilities due to the integration of some artificial component or technology that relies on feedback. So, in simple term, um, cyborgs are the individuals who are being restored to function to that also relies on the feedback on its environment. Haraway utilizes the cyborg as a socialist feminist political metaphor. She suggests that cyborg symbolizes a subversive mythology which overturns existing social hierarchies and power structures by embracing radical transformation. Historically, Western discourse surrounding the figure of the cyborg before the 1980s has reflected a dualistic view that became prominent in the interwar period, which promoted either a utopian or dystopian view of the cyborg and technology. However, the publication of Donna Haraway's A Cyborg Manifesto, Science, Technology, and Socialist Feminism in the late 20th century in 1985 introduced a new conception of the cyborg, one that called on feminists to use technology for social progress. So, Donna Haraway, as a feminist, she thinks that technology is one of the things that could use to have social progress. It also aimed to create political strategy that could harness the power of technology for the liberation of women without upholding exceptionalist notions of womanhood. Cyborg derives, she tells that, from science fiction, not initially from development in science, even if science subsequently comes to invent a similar entity. Cyborg is a paradigm case of the confusion of boundaries. So, what is confusion boundaries? Confusion boundaries is a confusion or a distortion or diffusion or also as violation means that it is a failure to recognize the psychological differences or distinctiveness of individuals for a confusion or their interpersonal roles. And Harvey states that manifesto says we are cyborg, both machine and organism. Even more, the cyborg is our ontology. It gives us our politics. It is stated by Haraway 2004. So what is ontology? Ontology is the study of existence. It is the study of how we determine if the things are being exist or not, as well as the classification of the existence. So in her book Manifesto, it says that we are not just humans, we are cyborgs because we are organisms who are rely on the machine and technology. It also more female than male. That serves as a basis of a new feminist relation with the technology. So it's more female who rely on the technology on the new feminist relation. She made significant contribution to the understanding of the intersections between gender, technology, and the environment. So, according to the theory of Haraway, it's called cyborg theory. It states that it is the intersection or the understanding between the gender, the technology, and the environment. The book was being published 1985. It explores the history of the relationship between humans and machines, and she argues that it has three boundaries were broken throughout history, which has changed the definition of what is deemed cultural or otherwise natural. The first boundary is was between human and animals that was broken in 19th century after publishing on the origin of species by Charles Darwin. So the first boundary was between human and animals. The second boundary was breaking apart event relates to the relationship between machines and organism, or be they human or animal. So the organism being used is either animal or human. As the Industrial Revolution arrived, all aspects of human life became mechanized. So the second boundary of breaking is that it is between the machine and the organism. And the third boundary that it concerns the technological advancement that has produced ever more complex machines which can be minuscule in size or in the case of software altogether invisible. So the third boundary it's talks about the technological advancement. So it has three boundaries according to Haraway. Next proponent of feminism is Bradshaw Littenberg Ittiger. She was born on March 23, 1948. She was an Israeli British. She was a writer, an artist, a psychoanalyst, and a philosopher. She was born in mandatory Palestine and living and working in Paris. She is a feminist theorist and an artist in the contemporary European painting who invented the concept of the matrixial gaze and related concept around trauma, aesthetics, and ethics. So, what is matrixial gaze? It is a book being published 1995 by an artist, Bradshaw Lichtenberg Ittiger. It is a work of a feminist film theory that examines the gaze as described by Jacques Lacan. It criticizes and offers an original theory concerning feminine and female gaze. So it states there that they give emphasis on feminine or the female. Ittiger's work consists mostly of oil painting and writing. Ittiger is now considered to be a prominent figure among both the French painters and the Israeli art scenes. Ittiger's art engages in the subject of trauma, mothers and women during war, as well as the feminine in mythology such as Eurydice, Medusa, Demeter, Persephone, and matrixal arrows. The matrixal arrows they being used as one of the art uses by Ittigers that engages subject of trauma, motherhood, and also women. Her abstract research in painting concerns light, space, which follows Monet and Rothko. Her subjects concern the human condition and the tragedy of war, and her work in this aspect joins artists such as Scott Kollwitz and Francisco Goya. The painting process engages a space of passage between figures and abstraction, and her attitude to abstraction resonates the spiritual concern of Agnes Martin, Emma Cons, and Hilma of Klein. So the painting there in the slideshow, it's the work of art of Ittigers called Matrix Family Album. Next, psychoanalytic feminism and feminist psychoanalysis are based on Freud and on his psychoanalytic theories, but they also supply an important critique of it. It maintains that gender is not biological but based on the psychosocial development of the individual, but also the sexual differences and the gender are different notions. So, according to the psychoanalytic theories, that gender is not biological, but also it is based on our psychosocial perspective and development as an individual. Psychoanalytical is that it has the inequality of being believed that gender inequality comes from early childhood experiences which led men to believe themselves to be masculine and women to believe themselves as feminine. Bracha Itiger that invented the concept of matriarchal space and matriarchal feminist ethics have largely influenced not only feminist theory but also the understanding in the subject of philosophy, art, aesthetic, and ethics in the general field of psychology. Okay, next, let's discuss about our Avital Ronell. American academic, she was an American academic who writes about continental philosophy, literary studies, psychoanalysis, political philosophy, and ethics. She was also a professor in the humanities and in the departments of Germanic languages and literature and comparative literature at New York University, where she co-directs the Trauma and Violence Transdisciplinary Studies program. She was written about such topics as Johann Wolfgang von Goethe and Alexander Graham Bell, whose theory is about the operant conditioning and the telephone, the structure of the test in legal, pharmaceutical, artistic, scientific, Zen, and historical domains, stupidity, the disappearance of authority, childhood, and deficiency. She was also a founding editor of the journal Key Parl. During his During her being as the co-editor in the University of New York, she was under an 11-month investigation. She was determined that she sexually harassed a male graduate student, and the university suspended her without pay for the year 2018-2019 academic year. So it's just recently that she was being investigated. Ronell argues for the necessity of the unintelligible in an account of the 1982 Rodney King beating. Ronell argued that the idiom of the perfectly clear recurrently serve as a code for the white lie. So the code for white lie is there are two types of lie: the the being lie and the white lie. And Ronell argued that the idiom white lie could be called as perfectly clear. Instead of referring to herself as the author of the text, she has sometimes described herself as signatory, operator, or even television. She sometimes focuses on thinkers who clean up after other thinkers, arguing that what she calls sanitation departments sometimes undermine the work they are tidying up after. So those are the proponents of feminism. That's all. Thank you.